All right, look, I'm not proud to admit this, but I was one of the people who really had some hope that we would get the allied fetch lands in this product, and up until today, there was a very, 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 very small possibility that that could happen due to the number crunching, but alas, it did not. We did get new lands, however, for Commander Masters, or at least new prints of old lands, so let's get into the video and talk about it. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. I made a video yesterday talking about the end of the Commander Masters reprints, and I completely did not realize that there were still 5 open slots, all of which were lands. So, I apologize if you watched that video and you were like, I'm done, I'm finally can take a breather with what I'm trying to catch up with. I got a few more for you, but nothing crazy. There are some really cool cards in this slate of things we're going to talk about today, though, because one of the things that people were saying was, could the Allied Fetches be in Commander Masters? Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Allied Fetch lands, there are 5 Allied Fetch lands and 5 enemy Fetch lands. The Allied Fetch lands consist of Windswept Heath, Wooded Foothills, Bloodstained Mire, Flooded Strand, and Polluted Delta. These 5 cards have been reprinted in Khans of Tarkir, of course, the original Onslaught set that they were in, and I think they had Zendikar Rising Expedition slots as well as Expedition slots in the regular Zendikar. The enemy fetch lands, however, Marsh Flats, Scalding Tarn, Verdant Catacombs, Misty Rainforest, and Arid Mesa have been printed many more times, showing up in multiple Modern Masters sets, showing up as rares in Modern Horizons 2. The price of those have gone down a bit because they've just become more and more accessible, but for some reason the Allied Fetches have been left out, which is disappointing because, in my opinion, if you not necessarily like for CEDH, but just in general, a lot of Commander decks that you build, having access to the fetch lands in the deck helps with the consistency a lot, and in my opinion, makes some commanders that are maybe a little bit weaker or maybe a little bit more gimmick focused easier to play because consistency is key. So, obviously, I was hoping that they were going to reprint the Allied Fetches here, and they did not. I did have some people tell me earlier in the week, like, it's borderline unlikely they're going to do it for a Commander product. It's probably not going to happen, but I don't know. I figured they wanted to, put as much value in here as possible. Honestly, though, I'm not shocked by this revelation. I think they're going to save those for, another product. That's fine. I just hope we get them eventually because they haven't kept pace with both sets of fetches, and the Allied Fetch lands are still quite pricey, especially for some of them. I know they did have Zendikar Rising Expeditions, but again, that was like a box topper thing and very loosely in collector boxes. It certainly wasn't putting a larger quantity of anything out on the market. But alas, I know there's going to be people that are like, oh, my cards, don't reprint my lands because I got 100 of each. Like, I don't know, fuck off. Like, the game is a game at the end of the day, and things should be accessible, especially staple cards like that, so, I don't know, not my fault if you hold on to your things too long. It's meant to be a game at the end of the day. But yeah, so no fetches here, unfortunately, but we'll have to keep our fingers crossed for a future product. I don't think they're ever going to reprint them in Standard, but maybe they'll put them in something. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see, what happens. What we do have, though, are the Battlebond lands, or at least some of them. Battlebond is a set that came out a couple years back. It was a tag team set based on, like, the two-headed giant, but it has a lot of really good cards. And the lands from it are basically the best multiplayer lands, as far as I know, really the only multiplayer-focused lands that basically read they enter the battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. So if you're playing in pods or tag team games or anything with more than 2 people, these lands are basically duels that come into play for free, and that's extremely good. These are really good cards to have. And some of them have been a bit pricier than others just due to the fact that, they haven't all been printed in a while. Which is why it's good that Ultimate Masters will have these. I think a good land cycle is a positive thing for any product, and these are definitely good lands. We saw last year in Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate 5 of these lands reprinted, and now we're getting the other 5 here. With these initial 5 were actually printed in the original Commander Legends as a reprint as well, but that was almost 3 years ago, so basically the price started to go up on them. They're definitely not what I would consider like super cheap, although some of them were around the $10 mark, so it's not like they're unobtainable either, but I think they're going to be good to have in here. So we've got Undergrowth Stadium. This is the black-green Golgari. Just a really cool artwork. I love this card. And it's nice to see this one getting a reprint in here. It was like $8-ish before the reprint. So again, it wasn't crazy, but it's nice to see it here. And it's getting an alternate artwork that is really nice as well. A bit more, abstract and different in tone than the original card art depicts. But I think it looks really cool. And I think it's nice that there's sort of a chase-ish version of these in addition to just regular ones because it should appeal to both parties. Training Center is getting a reprint as well. That's the blue-red, and this was at one point the most expensive one. A little over 10 now, but it was about, probably closer to 15-ish, at one point pushing 20 a while back. you know, as time passes, and it's just not super accessible, like I said. This one's getting an alternate art as well that looks really cool. So again, you have two different versions. It does have an extended art from Commander Legends. Actually, all of these do. But the Commander Legends collector boosters were very pricey, very hard to find, and a lot of those cards are not, you know, the most in supply, especially for foils. So I'm interested to see the comparison between the Commander Legends extended arts and the borderless arts here, but let's not pretend Commander Masters is going to be super accessible either with the price point. Vault of Champions is the black-white. I believe that's Orzhov. This is another really good reprint, and it's got a really cool alternate art as well. This was around $7 to $10-ish. So, again, not bad, especially just to add, you know, 5 more $10 lands in there and kind of have more things in the rare slot that are actually worth hitting. I think that's just a plus. So, I'm really, really happy about Vault of Champions. And then Rejuvenating Springs is in here as well. This is blue-green. What is it? I can't remember the name of the blue-green. Why am I blanking on this so much right now? I feel like I knew this up until, like, right before we started. I'm blanking entirely on the name of the blue-green color combination, and I know it's going to come back to me as soon as I finish recording the video, but I can't think of it right now, so I guess I'll just move on, you know, for now. But it is a really, really cool card, and the alternate artwork looks awesome. I think they did, like, a similar theme style for all of these alternates, so I do like that, you know, the way that they were kind of drawn and put together, and it is different artists, so you know, it wasn't like all one guy drawing them. They all look really cool, a little bit abstract with a little bit of a recurring theme you can kind of see throughout. And finally, we have Spectator Seating, which is the red-white, and that is a really, really solid card as well. This was on the lower end, around $6 to $7, but again, these are just, you know, lands that are really good to have. Basically, if you're playing pods, you play, you know, Commander. I don't know how representative they are in CEDH if people are playing one-on-ones, but, you know, in general, in, you know, casual Commander and just fun Commander with friends, or even at, you know, Commander tournaments, whatever, these are some of the best lands you can have access to, period, if you're playing a multicolor deck, and it's really nice to see that they're getting reprinted here. So I'm happy about that, and I do think that should do a little bit to, you know, boost the rare slot a bit more, not necessarily from a value perspective, but just, you know, overall with a few more positive hits. You know, I think it's interesting because I've been reading people's comments and stuff as people have been interacting, and it seems like there's a lot of people who, like, hate the set, love the set, whatever. I think you can be on both sides of the fence. Like, I think we can all fairly criticize the price points of the set and say that they're not perfect, particularly the set boosters and the Commander decks. And, you know, Magic could avoid some of this by having an actual MSRP. I don't really know what Wizards' deal is with that, because it looks like that kind of went into effect during my hiatus from the game. But I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't have an MSRP and sort of keep more balance for the not secondary market, but like just the overall price point and a lot of the criticism they get, you know, if some of these products end up being more expensive, like we've talked about the decks. But like, I'm not blind to the fact that the set has, you know, is pretty expensive, and these sets continue to go up over time. But I also think at the same time, it's a good set that has a lot included, and, you know, depending on pull rates and stuff, it could be really positive. At the end of the day, though, like, the best advice is always to buy singles, because you're gonna have people who are gonna buy product and open product. I'll open some myself, and opening some for fun is fine, but like, if you're really looking to chase down stuff or get specific cards, buying singles is going to be the most cost-effective way to go, and it's going to be the best way to go. But at the end of the day, you know, it is a game. It is, you know, there is some appeal to it, to the chase, the opening, and all that stuff. So, you know, you do you. I'm not telling anybody how to feel or anything. I'm just saying, like, I think it's okay to criticize the set's pricing structure, but also say it's a pretty good set. I don't think that it's, like, immune from criticism because there's a lot of good reprints here, but I think some people are just also never going to be satisfied. So, again, I don't really know where you fall. You know, it's somewhere in the middle. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of the inclusion of the Battlebond lands, kind of where you're at with everything here. And be sure to like the video and subscribe. Click the bell icon if you want to stay notified for all future updates. See you guys tomorrow as we cover day 3 of the Planeswalker decks, which I believe tomorrow is the Enchantment Express or some shit. I don't know. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.